Hey guys, it's Rod with Civil Advantage Firearms Training. I just want to give you my thoughts on the Common Sense Firearms Licensing Act because it's the hottest new thing to happen to us since the gun registry was ended, and also expand on a couple of points. So let's get started. First thing we want to talk about is the CZ858 Reclassification. So I got a mass email from Blaney's office just an hour ago, and it said, as of yesterday, owners of the CZ858 and Swiss Arms rifles that were impacted can now use their private property once again, as should have always been the case. So what does that mean? You can take it to the range, you just can't sell it, and you can't buy any new ones. Is that all we needed? Absolutely not. This is an expanded amnesty, and it expires on March 14th, 2016. At the very least, now I can go shoot my gun. I own it, I can go shoot it, so that's great. Yeah, no, a lot more is needed, and this needs to be fixed permanently. But for an interim measure, if this indeed is what it is, then that's good. Let's keep going. Merge the possession-only license and the possession-acquisition license. So this is a POL. They want to make that a PAL. So people that have POLs that aren't minors, they've had an FAC in the past. And if that's the case, then they've been legally using firearms for the past 20 years. There's no reason why they shouldn't have a PAL, so that's good. Restrict the ability of the chief firearms officers to make arbitrary decisions. Well, if you're paying attention at all as a gun owner, you know that it's just total mayhem. It's a bus careening down the freeway at 120 kilometers sideways with no driver. That's the train wreck that is the CFO's office. Now, in British Columbia, we're pretty lucky. I've had no problems with the CFO's office. Would I like things to go a little bit faster? Yeah, absolutely, but I think that's always the case. Whereas in other provinces, it's just over the top. You have bureaucrats whose only will is to dominate others, and they're in charge and allowed to make policies and ignore court orders, no less. Ignoring court orders. So it's a far larger issue than just a firearm management issue. It's an actual democratic issue. It's a Charter of Rights and Freedoms level issue. So hopefully that gets fixed and we get some consistency and some compliance with the law. Forget the policies, just follow the law. How about that for once? And then if we don't like the law, we can change it. Isn't that how our system's supposed to work? So that's a good change if it happens the way that we would like it to happen. And again, neither of the two points that I mentioned have any impact on public safety whatsoever. It's just purely paperwork. Create a grace period at the end of the 5-year license to stop people from immediately becoming criminalized for paperwork errors. So if you forget that your PAL is expired, you're instantly a criminal the day after it expires. You're in illegal possession of non-restricted and probably restricted and possibly prohibited firearms, which will land you a mandatory minimum sentence in jail. Is that in any universe right at all? Of course, it's so draconian and so sadistic that it's ridiculous. It should be a fine. Maybe they come and seize your guns and they keep them until you get your license renewed. How about that? I got caught for driving with no insurance when I was in my middle 20s, and because I just was occupied with other things. And I got pulled over, no insurance. I had no idea. I'm like, and I got a fine. It was $600. So it was not a joke of a fine, that's for sure. But did I get thrown in jail? Did I get a criminal record or a firearms charge for that? Or like a drinking driving charge? Of course not, right? It's ridiculous. So that's a very smart move. Again, zero impact on public safety. If I was trusted yesterday, I'm probably still trusted today. I don't think there's ever been a case in Canadian history where someone's license expired and they immediately went out and shot people. So, and that's what it implies if you're against that. End needless paperwork around authorizations to transport by making them a condition of a license. ATTs, right? Man, that's really got to impact public safety, right? I got to have a PAL, get my criminal record checked every day, carry a registration certificate for the restricted or prohibited firearm that I'm transporting, but if I didn't have that ATT, that's when I'd open fire on everybody, right? It's just so ridiculous, the ATT thing. But anyway, yeah, put that in the license, sure, that's great. If, ATTs, maybe I'm just stupid, but I still don't understand how they enhance public safety, but whatever. Require mandatory firearm safety courses for first-time gun owners. Here's the thing, we're going to talk about this for a couple of minutes. There's a attitude in the firearms community in certain circles that it's ridiculous that you have to take a course to get a firearm. And I got to disagree with that. And in fact, I had a conversation with somebody and they said, well, I understand why you advocate the firearm safety course. You administer the firearm safety course and you charge for it. And yeah, that's exactly what I do. But here's the thing. I've been teaching the course for about 5 years. I've run about 800 people through the course. And among them, I've done PALs strictly for the RCMP. I've done them for the Criminal Justice Branch, which means a room full of Crown Counsels. I've run them for the military, the Canadian military. I've run a couple courses for them. Probably ran about 30 of them through. I've done them for corrections. I've done them for all kinds of agencies where people have firearms, I guess aside from the Crown Counsel, where people have firearms and they carry them for a living. And not once did I have anybody go, I can't believe I wasted 2 days. There's nothing in this course that I didn't already know. In fact, the opposite is true. At the end, I get every member, like I'm talking every RCMP member I've ever taught going, they need to have this in depot. Extend depot by 2 days and have somebody like you come in and teach this thing. This is so valuable. This is ridiculous. I didn't know anything about firearms. And same thing with even the military, right? So it's, and on the other hand, let me explain the other side to you. I've done maybe, I don't know, 30 challenges since I started doing this. I don't do a lot of challenges. Most people don't want to challenge, they want to take the course. But the people I have had challenged, let me give you an example. I had this guy that was part of the IDF, Israeli Defense Forces. And he says, well, I already know guns. I was in the Israeli Defense Forces. I just want to challenge the exam. I'm like, oh, it's your legal right to do that. This guy, I watched him struggle with a Remington 870 shotgun. He couldn't open the action. So I watched him struggle with it for over 5 minutes because I'm not allowed to even talk to him during the challenge. Then, because he couldn't find a way to open the action, the only way he could do it is pull the trigger. So he pulled the trigger on the gun. So that gives you an idea of how little this guy knew and how dangerous this guy actually is to the public, because you don't open the action on a closed firearm by pulling the trigger. Or even put your finger, you probably shouldn't put your finger on the trigger when you're in a room with a firearm either. I don't know. But again, pulling the trigger, 2 marks off. Not knowing how to operate the firearm, 2 marks off. You need 80 to pass, he passed. He passed legitimately. I have no choice but to push him through. So I don't think that's a good idea either. So, and to me, as far as being biased is concerned, I've probably done 30 challenges since I started doing this. I don't do a lot of them. So what does it mean for me to tell you to take the firearm safety course? What is it going to be, an extra, what, $400 for me a year? You know, it means nothing to me either way. So I think the firearm safety course works. People love it. At least they're loving my class. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of great instructors out there, and I'm not saying that to be, I'm a great instructor or whatever, but I think the course material is excellent. So anyway, that's my opinion on it. Take it for what you want. And last but not least, strengthen firearms prohibitions for those who are convicted of domestic violent offenses. So as I said in an interview I did with CBC Radio 1 yesterday, I'm in total favor of any law that takes the people that do crime and punishes them. You don't punish millions of gun owners, you punish the person that's doing the crime. And I'm going to give you another one of my personal opinions. If you like to beat up on women or kids, then and you get your guns taken away or you get further charges, I'm actually okay with that. But again, I'm kind of weird like that. So overall, the devil's in the details, and we know that. So we need to see the text of the bill. We need to see how they strengthen firearm prohibitions against people that are engaged in domestic violence. We know that tackling gun crime, mandatory minimums for gun offenses actually pull in law-abiding citizens for paperwork crimes. So the devil is in the details. So once again, I'm going to wrap it up with this. Did we get everything that we need? No. Did we get everything that we want? No. But this is no reason to stomp your foot and go, this is ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. This is an interim step. It went the right direction this time around, incrementally. It could have easily gone the wrong direction. So I'm happy with this, but the fight isn't over. We need to keep it up. We need to keep bringing common sense to the firearms regulation in this country. And, that's all I have to say right now on the matter. So there's more to come. I can't wait to see the text and see where it takes us. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can, at CivilAdvantage1. If you want to see us on the web, it's www.civiladvantage.com. Thanks, and we will see you next time.